Great. So last panel of the day. I think this one is going to be a short one before we have the next social events. But we're going to be focusing on spatial computing. And as we were talking about, I think there's been some changes in the last 5 to 6 years in spatial computing. But I think it'll be really good to see, where did we think spatial computing, where did we think it was going to be 5 or 6 years ago? Where are we today? And where do we see spatial computing going in the next 5 to 10 years? And what needs to be done to get us to where our vision of spatial computing will be? So I'll start off to see what's your views on that. Let's backtrack a little bit. Where did we think things would be?
Yeah. First off, I'm Dan Burgar, CEO of Frontier Collective. Our goal is to really democratize new technologies like artificial intelligence, VR, AR, robotics, climate tech, and really look at pushing the next wave of innovation. So in the VR, AR, spatial computing space, we've continuously been saying the next 5 years it'll really take off.
Yep.
But after being in the industry for about a decade, I feel like we're kind of at the end point of this phase, from that early Oculus DK1 days to now, which I think, this iteration is dead. I think VR and AR is dead right now.
It's a big statement. I remember, and I should have started with introductions as well. I'm Laidacker. I have my company Maven XR, but I've been working in the gaming XR space for probably 20 plus years. I ran the SDK and experience team at Magic Leap. So if I go back to 6-7 years ago, at the time, I really felt that what we were building internally, and we were trying to build all of it, right, at Magic Leap. And that was maybe one of the issues, is we were trying to solve everything from an AR side of things. But what we were building and how it actually looked through the headset, it was amazing. And the creators we were working with were great. Really looking at how can you bring storytelling to AR? How can you bring storytelling in games to the real world around you? But at the time, we knew that what we were building was a massive headset, right? People were not going to be walking around with that. And that's when we were give it time. We need to reduce the form factor. We need to really focus on reducing the sensors. We need to have better technology for all the processing. But you're going to see 5 or 6 years from now, everything is going to be changed.
Okay, so I don't want to bust your balls too much here, but part of the problem with kind of where we're at in VR and AR, kind of on the branding perspective, is, remember when Magic Leap came out with that whale video?
Yep.
And we were all thinking this is going to be exponential. The growth would be in 5 years, and everyone would be wearing headsets, and it would completely change our lives. But I think Magic Leap has completely transformed into a different type of company. Yep. And Ronnie was, you got to give it to him. He had a great vision around VR, AR, but it really was so toxic, I believe, for the industry.
Yeah. I left there probably about 4 years ago or something, beginning of the pandemic. Can't even remember when that was. And I remember thinking, it's okay, Apple is going to fix this for us. Apple is going to fix this. We were doing too much, but again, I felt the technology was so exciting and loved what we were building from a content side, but obviously people are not going to walk around with these huge glasses. And as we were saying, for the last, 7 years, we would watch the Apple conference every year saying, this is the year that they are going to announce their AR glasses, and this is going to change everything. They're going to find the UX friendly, the really accessible glasses, and it's going to solve it all. However, if we look at, I guess, the last year or so, sadly, I don't think that has happened yet.
It certainly hasn't, especially with that $3,000 price tag, and only unveiling, releasing a few hundred thousand headsets. That's not going to turn that into a consumer device quite yet. But I don't think their vision was quite to do that. It was really to kind of push the headsets out, get developers developing on it and looking at various use cases on it. But just with them kind of slowly moving away from VR and AR. It's been interesting, especially with their AR glasses that they were talking about building. So I really feel like it's going to take another while to get this right.
Yeah.
And I think we are getting to a point where it is getting close. And I know we say that every 5 years, and we always say that it's going to be here in the next 5 years. But I really do believe that, with the kind of revolution that we're seeing in artificial intelligence, it'll really kind of look at, positioning VR and AR in a different way, because, when you put AI into your glasses, I think that in itself is, really half the battle. And if we can get the visuals correct and really get the consumer piece right, I think it will be the next wave of spatial, the next wave of computing.
Yeah. So what you said before, that you feel that AR VR is dead right now. Let's almost say like, yes, but where does that take us, right, in the next 5 years? And maybe when it comes to actual glasses and being able to make this accessible to people, we're not there yet. And I don't think consumers are ready to have like visuals coming out of like their eyeballs yet. That's too daunting. What I've seen, and this is not AR VR, but coming to AI, is I'm starting to see so many content creators wearing like the Ray-Ban glasses. And is that like maybe a step towards it, where I'm starting to see people wearing glasses? It's got AI embedded into it. It's a way where we start seeing like, your favorite TikTok content creator, your favorite Instagram creator, but they're starting to use these glasses and getting used to technology being somehow in their space. So I wonder if that's almost like a stepping stone. We're going full on with like, even with Meta's, Orion glasses. I think that's too much right now. We need to get it where it's something that people feel is very natural for them to put on the glasses, and there's stepping stones to getting it before you're actually in a full like virtual world in the physical world.
I agree. Yeah, if you can overlay information in front of you seamlessly without getting in the way of your sight of your viewpoint, and essentially giving you the information that you need to navigate the world, I think it'll be a pretty transformative kind of move into ubiquity, essentially. But with AI right now, if you can get the AI to really talk to you and be able to communicate with you with the world around, it's already starting to see value. If I can look at a broken down car, open up the hood and see just through my glasses, and ask it, what's going on here? Like, what should I look at? How should I navigate the problem with my car? I think that in itself, to be able to give you that feedback, can be pretty useful in your everyday life.
Yeah, I agree. But to be able to do that also today, I don't think we're there yet, right? From an AI side. And we all know that AI is like the hype thing, right? Just how like 5-6 years ago, everyone was saying AR, VR, then the metaverse a few years ago, and now everything is AI. Are we there yet for full generative AI? I don't think so. Are we there for the beginning days of having agentic AI? I think we're starting to get there. If we look back to even some of the experiences we were doing with the glasses, being able to read things, like, and this was a few years ago, I remember we were working on having the sensors actually being able to detect like the semantic understanding of the real world around you. And it was really, really tough. I remember we'd have to stare at the couch, and maybe 30 seconds to a minute later, it would pop up, like being able to have that semantic understanding. So we need to have that. Is AI at a much more advanced level at this point to be able to have the semantic understanding? Yes, but I think we're still not there yet, because a lot of the AI is being trained on specific LLM models. It's heavy. Are we there yet with models being able to communicate to each other? Not there yet, but that's what we really need in terms of AI, so that we can go out into the real world and have our glasses detect the chair, detect you, my agent, be able to interact with your agent, so that there's actual contextual awareness and like content that reacts and adapts to the real world around us. So kind of a long answer to it's great to see how AI has come back to the forefront because there's so much to be solved for AI so that spatial computing can be successful.
You think AI is a killer app?
I don't think it's the app. It's like the underlying foundation. And we need to get a lot further in terms of just how we're building these LLMs, how the AI agents can actually communicate with each other, the different tooling there, the speed for it, the cost, the privacy. There's so much to be solved for that. And then I guess this is a whole other topic, but then how do the content creators and like the digital art communicate with all of that AI information? Like there's so much still to be solved for to then say like we've gotten out of the spatial computing is dead to spatial computing is here, but look at all of these things that had to be solved for to get spatial computing to where it needed to be.
Yeah, obviously, where we're at with spatial computing, VR, AR, isn't quite there consumer wise, and
Yeah.
that's really what I mean by spatial computing is dead in this iteration.
Yeah.
But there's pilot training happening. There's surgeons being trained. They're getting the reps of going through surgery before having to operate on a real human body. So I think that in itself is very valuable. But like we're seeing a lot of enterprises using it for training. Walmart has deployed headsets to a lot of their senior level workers. So there's no doubt that the technology is used productively, and it's a great training device. But when are we going to start seeing sort of the visuals, kind of relay into our real world overlay, within the basically our line of sight into what we see every day in the world, and then in terms of a seated experience for virtual reality, when can we feel like that we are in this Ready Player One world?
It's a great question. And I think, as we were saying, I think we're at least 5 years out for that. And as you said, I do think that it's the enterprise businesses that are going to get there before it's full consumer. So it's not just the challenges we have from the form factor. It really is. And I'm so glad to see that it is these big enterprise companies that are embracing the new tech so that we can test things out in more, I'll say, controlled settings. Even when it comes to the AI side, I love to see how they're embracing that, bringing AI agents into these enterprise companies. So I feel like these companies are going to help us innovate while the backend technology evolves. And then we need to see how do we bring that to the masses from a user to user side.
Yeah, it's interesting. We still, hear the industry giants wave the flag and continuously say that this is the future of computing, and it's sort of what they're betting on, right? Like Mark Zuckerberg, I think, has invested like 100 billion into this technology, and you got to give him some kudos around making it his toy, and putting all that investment into it for the market and to develop the market essentially. But especially with his metaverse, the basically his whole life was a meme during that phase.
Yeah.
And it was a bit quirky, it was a bit cringy, but you kind of had to really love that passion about what he was seeing into the future around how we communicate and how we can really connect with one another. Being able to walk a beach in Bali with a friend in London together, that's pretty compelling, right? So in terms of over the next 3 to 5 years, when it does slowly get there, or maybe it's 10 years,
Yeah.
what does it look like for our everyday lives when we use this in terms of how we communicate with our family, our loved ones, and the people around us?
Hmm. What do you think? Because I feel like you're asking me. I should be asking you too. What do you think it'll be?
Well, I think when it does become powerful, where the computing is in glasses that look like ours, I feel like it will be a replacement for the phone and our laptops and computing devices. I really do believe that. hence why I've been in the industry for a decade, maybe a decade too early. And I really do believe in that shift because screen-based technology is a bit clunky. We've kind of reached the height of innovation with smartphones, and I do believe that being able to see digitally with holograms is a more natural way. Once it's integrated into our lives and we can kind of navigate around the world with that, being able to see lines painted on the road telling you where to go instead of having to look at your phone, being able to look straight in front of people instead of always looking down, I think is going to be a net win for society. And I think being able to just communicate with someone you haven't seen across the world for years and years, and being able to sit on the couch with them together, I think that will be pretty compelling. But when that is, I'm not sure. I've given up on on predicting these things.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of the stuff you were saying, it reminds me of what I felt the original vision of what the metaverse was supposed to be. And we also hear that, like, is the metaverse dead? I don't think it started. I think like what we saw a few years ago was really just more seeing more virtual worlds being created, more brands and experiences coming into the virtual worlds. But when a lot of us got into the XR, AR, VR space, it was more thinking about how do we bring storytelling, content, education, creativity to the real world around us. To me, that's what I really think of when it's me thinking of being in the metaverse. It's about being in the physical world and being able to have digital experiences around me, turning on which types of filters I want to see. Do I want to have my education filter on? Do I want to be part of some real world kind of LARPing experience or storytelling where I put on, like, turn the filter from my favorite book where I'm part of an experience in the real world? That to me was what I feel like a lot of us were pitching when we were talking about the metaverse. And it's kind of sad that I feel like people are like, oh, the metaverse is dead. I'm like, we didn't even get to the beginning of it. But yeah, I think a lot of similar sentiments to what we were talking about of where we want to see things going.
What are your thoughts on 3D? And I know we were talking a lot about 3D during COVID, but I really think that we're starting to see a lot of brands and retailers and beauty brands really integrating this into what their future roadmap looks like, and being able to see products in 3D elements. It just makes a lot of sense, right? And we're seeing from Shopify, I believe 85% more customers are willing to buy if they see the object in 3D.
Yeah.
So that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I love to see how much that brands are getting involved in Roblox and Fortnite, in these huge virtual worlds that are out there where the numbers are there, right? And I think that's another challenge when we think of spatial computing and AR VR, is we need to get that UGC side of things for the AR VR side. Why the numbers are so high there is because the tools are so accessible, right? Where the reality is today to build for AR is still relatively challenging. So to me, like, we need to really think about these tools, bringing the UGC side to AR, and that's when we're going to start seeing brands being really excited. We should also talk, though, when we're talking AR VR, I think we're thinking of the massive experiences, but there's been such success for spatial computing and AR from the web XR side, and I think that's where brands first got really excited about XR, the very simplified, like, scan the QR code, like there's an XR experience in front of you. So we know brands are excited about that. It just can't be an experience that you need the large headset for. It can't be an experience where you have a huge download. It needs to be something where you jump right into it and where the users are there.
Do you think the organization or company that comes up with the win in this will be Apple? They did come out with their clunky headset. It's a bit heavy, but the experience is pretty profound, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you see the potential there, right? So, yeah, go ahead.
Um, I thought it was going to be Apple. I will say I'm not sure anymore. I would love to see like some of these larger UGC companies pushing towards like the XR side of things. I'm really keen to see how they're going to be pushing the boundaries there. What about you? What do you think? Is it Apple?
I think it could be Meta. When I looked at the Orion glasses, I haven't put them on yet, but when I saw what the vision is behind that, that's what we had thought that Apple was going to come out with first, right?
Yeah.
And because this is sort of Zuck's baby, I do believe that he's just so passionate and he's willing to continuously throw R&D dollars into, building a headset that looks like this and, with the Orion glasses, be that first gateway into
Yeah.
mass adoption.
I am keen to see though what happens with Horizons. I feel like there was so much hype around that, a lot of money put towards like the creator program. It's been a little quiet lately. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard, people will jump into that and there's like 3 or 4 weird, creepy people in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to get, that's not going to turn VR and AR into becoming ubiquitous. I think, really, when our moms and dads are eager to jump into it,
Yeah.
I think that's really when we'll start feeling that shift.
I agree. All right. Should we see if there's any question or are we at time? No. No.
They designed a new helmet and they gave it to the guys, and the guys were like, "We're not fucking wearing this." They're like, "But it can save your life." They're like, "It doesn't look good."
Yeah.
Right. So if you're American footballers, you had potentially get brain damage, wanted to look good, and I think you'd be surprised. I think 75% of people just go, sunglasses need to look good before I use them for a utility. So if like the utility, the coolness doesn't trump.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like the Ray-Bans, like the AI glasses, like folks are using it. I'm seeing my favorite chefs, my favorite creators, my favorite whatnot on like IG, TikTok, and they're all wearing it now. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, this I feel like
looks
is
cool.
the stepping stone to getting us there. Yeah, I do
Yeah,
think they look cool.
They look so cool. And then, remember the Google Glass days in 2014? They tried to go consumer before going enterprise, and they totally fucked it up, right? And I think that's we've seen this story kind of go round and round and round, and I feel like I have a lot of trauma in the industry of trying to make this technology really hit. But as you say, like it's got to be cool enough where you want to wear it every day, right?
And the thing is, like, Snapchat did have the glasses. I thought they looked pretty cool. But again, I think people are not ready to put on glasses that have technology with like the digital content that's kind of half-assed in terms of like how it's actually displayed. So that's where I feel like the Ray-Bans are a really good stepping stone. So people feel like this looks cool. I get like the AI is actually giving me some type of utility. And then once the AR visual, the form factor is later, then that's like the next stepping stone. Where many of us, again, if we go back to like the last 5-10 years ago, we were just trying to do too much too early. But it had to start because, again, there's so much of the back end tech infrastructure, everything that needs to be solved, and we're not there yet.
Yeah, actually, it brings up a good point. We've seen all these waves within the VR AR space. I don't know if you know this, but some of the first headsets came out in the early 80s.
Yep.
And there was a wave back then, and then everyone thought 5 to 10 years, and then basically in the 90s it saw another wave with those big clunky virtual boys from Nintendo, or some of the other, like, you'd actually have to like get 2 people to put it on your head. And then basically we saw Palmer Luckey in 2014 come out with the DK1, where it sort of started this journey that we're on right now. And I like I mentioned, we're kind of in this dead period. Microsoft canceling the HoloLens, that I felt was a huge turning point.
I know. Yeah.
Because they were doing a lot in the practical applications and enterprise. They were doing a lot of military training and things like that. And it was just like, if Microsoft's punting the HoloLens, that's not good. So I think that was really a wake up call for the industry. But the next wave of VR, AR, spatial computing, whatever you want to call it, it's pretty close, and we need to be a bit kind of more mindful about how we build up that industry, and I think it'll come, but we've got to be very, very patient because maybe it won't be here in 5 years, but maybe 10 years, we'll all be wearing glasses.
Yeah. But at least the great thing is with what we have now, this allows more and more creators to get used to the tools. We can improve upon the tools. Like the experiences that are still being made today, they're amazing. There is a reason why we have XR at South by Southwest, why we have the pavilion. Like these experiences are beautiful. They're amazing. And we need to continue to build on this. Is like our XR kind of community still a relatively small niche-ish group? Maybe. Is it going to grow like exponentially in the next like year or so? Maybe not, until it can become very accessible for everyone around us. But we as an industry need to keep pushing, and it's great that we are. I love the new creators in this space.
Well, thank you guys all. Really excited to meet you guys, and
It's nice to catch up.
yeah, really
Thanks,
nice
everyone.
to catch up. Cheers.